Good morning, everyone. Um, Apparently, I was supposed to present this in my defense, but it requires a smaller crowd than this. But I'll do my best. So, hi everyone. My name is George, and today I'm going to present my master thesis, measuring the hierarchy speed of the talents in Ülemiste City. And it's not because most people when they ask me measuring the talents, what calculations are you going to do? It's not mostly about calculations. Today I'm going to discuss more about like the theoretical background and like the things that I encountered when I was doing my literature reviews and stuff. And to begin, I'll first start with the concepts, some definitions, the challenges, some solutions, and also some practical examples that some countries have applied in real-world solutions. And to end it with, I would do some conclusions, and then I would ask for your help to help fill in my survey for my master thesis. So before we begin, in my research, there wasn't really like a perfect definition of what hiring speed was, but the term hiring velocity and time to hire was the closest to the definitions that I encountered. And it refers to the duration like that would take for a candidate to get hired, starting from the job posting, from the employer, down to when they start the first day of work. And why is it relevant? We all know to acquire talent, it's one of the most hot topic right now. And the talent requirements are evolving. I don't know the world that you're in, but AI is taking over everything. So yes, hiring speed is one of the things we can use to see how far we have gone in terms of talent acquisition, and also to improve companies' employer brand. Hiring speed can be used as a means to determine how or to measure the strength of how we engage the market in terms of hiring employees. And also another thing is, for my literature reviews, I found out that companies trying to move to where talents are and hiring speed can actually help to determine how fast it is for a region to get qualified candidates faster, and which can drive economic growth. So, this question is actually for you guys. What is the most important thing to consider when hiring? Because I have done interviews with certain companies, and they have different things they look for. Some look at cultural adaptation, some look at background checks, some look at behaviors of people in the past, and some also consider salary as well. But I would like to hear from you guys what you think is the most important thing to consider when hiring, because it's part of my research as well. So if anyone can help. Values.
And also skills.
Skills. Okay.
Or at least transferable skills.
Okay. Sorry?
Quality.
Quality.
In transportation, definitely background.
Background?
Yeah. Background, what they did before and where they can work.
Is there any reason why, or is it?
In bus world,
Yeah.
knows everybody, and when you're a bus driver, you're always a bus driver.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Like they do their career.
Okay.
And, So they just usually switch companies.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's really good to know like the background, where did they work before, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that. I've actually never been a bus driver, so I wouldn't know. Okay, so but to understand this, it's best to like understand the recruitment process. And most of the things I actually encountered when I was doing my reviews is that to acquire like a talent, you have to have like a proper setup. And the most common one was the 4 things I outlined, and the second bullet point, which is talent attraction. They have to create like a proper view for the clients that are coming in to be able to come in. Another thing is the reception. How do you receive them if they come? The next one is integration. If they come in, how are they going to fit in? Are they going to be stranded? Are you going to keep them in some warehouse? Or are you going to, I don't know. And then the last one is reputation. How do you perceive, how do people perceive your establishment in general after all this? And
Daniel, why isn't the first one understanding the recruitment process? What's the problem there?
So, people usually look at it, talent acquisition as something that is just hire, who's the best person, hire. They don't really see it in a way like, what are the steps that are required to get hired? So in terms of talent acquisition, you have to understand that there's also the steps to get to the end position of where you actually want to be. And to do that, you have to understand the recruitment process. So I don't know if my explanation was clear enough for you. So yeah, it's one of the things that actually I came across in most of the literature reviews that I was going through, that it's important to know the whole process, how it works, so that you can be able to make proper hire. And another thing to add to it is the quality of hire, because I know definitely hiring speed is not just going to the job market and just picking whoever is, you post a job about consultants, and then every consultant that comes into where you just pick them. You have to understand that you have to know the people who have the highest skills, or the people who can actually fit in your company. So the quality of hire is important, as well as the cost. So now, next, I want to talk about the challenges surrounding hiring speed. And to break it down, I grouped it into two certain factors. One is internal factor, the other one is external factor. So the internal factor is mostly what's in the company, the process going on. And I also outlined a couple of bullet points to explain most of the challenges they face. So the first one is the recruitment process, inefficiency in the recruitment process. We all know that for everything to get to one desk, it has to follow some procedures, and sometimes those procedures can take more time to get to the right place they need to be at a certain point in time. We also have multiple levels of approvals. In most companies, especially the bigger companies, they have a whole lot of system attached to how they hire, and sometimes it takes a lot of time to get to the position you actually want to be in. Some companies also don't usually want to adopt the trends going on. For instance, use of AI, automation to make work easier. And these are challenges people or companies face in terms of how fast they want to get qualified candidates for the role they put out. Employer branding is also another one that kept on popping up in most of the literature reviews I was looking at. The way people see your company, or people see your region in general. Do you make a good impression to them? Is it the safest place for me to come to work? Or are they doing more to integrate people who are coming from different backgrounds? So employer branding is one of the concepts that I actually put into consideration when I was doing my literature review. The next one is the external factors. We all know in terms of hiring people abroad, we have different problems with that. I too I'm an example of it. Work permits, visual approval, it takes a lot of time, and sometimes it doesn't get to the right place and it disappears along the line. So another one is competitive job market. You all know that the job is opening and everyone is overqualified somehow. And so companies tend to have problems in terms of how they compensate people in terms of salary negotiations and stuff like that. So this part of the external factors that I considered while drafting out this. Another one is labor market conditions. Skills are not, they're getting, how will I put it, constrained with time. So it's really hard to find a particular fit for your company. So I'll just put it at labor market shortage. Other challenges I also came across was prolonged background checks, especially in the US, where they ask you, are you a veteran? Do you work for the military? Have you worked in the military for 50 years? And stuff like that. limited cluster development, the place your company is situated, how far or how much are they doing to encourage attracting talents to your region. And also, there's also some problems about having local skilled employees. So most of the literatures I read, they propose this idea of creating like a database where if people get, like for instance, if people apply, they can rank them according to categories, and you can now have like a good, pooling system to get them into the workforce. Geographical location, of course, the EU have their own labor laws. Each country has their own, and it applies for both locals and people who are foreign, who are coming from abroad. So it differs. And another one I actually came across, but this one I came across through interviews I had during my research, notice period. So each country have different time. They tend to tell their employees, or their employees tend to have, in order for them to leave their current job to go to another job. So it differs with countries, and this can also affect the hiring timeline in general. Seasonal variation is a victim of that as well. Sometimes they have years or months where students keep pouring in, so it's hard to get the proper time to recruit employees. And cluster development, I see it in a sense where if your company is in a location, and if for instance you build a company in Tondi where there's no company situated around there, there's no help for you to adjust to the environment, because it's not like a working environment, and there's nothing that you can get there that can make you to come to work. I don't know if it. So if there's more initiative put in place to have, for instance, Ülemiste City here, where we have international out of Estonia work in Estonia. If you come here, also the health center here as well, and so many other things that are here, it has the breeding ground for you to come and work in the environment. So did I answer your question? Or okay, thank you. Okay, so what has been done to overcome these challenges? So companies have focused more on building the employer brand by creating campaigns to attract talents into the region. AI has become a thing. I mean, everyone here is obviously aware of the role of AI in this modern era. So, like I said before, the database, to have a system where people can, when they apply, they maintain there, and also they can be ranked according to category of both their skills, their background, their qualifications, and the match to the company. So there's this I think is, no, not Pipedrive, no. It's an American website. So what they do is they have something like this. I actually applied for it once, but the problem I had was that they had a lot of things they required for me, which I didn't have. Especially you have to be in the US, you have to do this, you have to do that. But I think they have. If I was living in the US, I'll find it really interesting, or something that can actually help me in terms of my career development. So the next one is data-driven recruitment. This one can help to assess how long it takes for you to get hired. And also, I did some research. It takes around 44 days to get hired in the US, about 32 days to get required. We're hired in the UK, and somewhere around 3 months in Germany. But I'm not sure. It's 3-4 months. But we don't really have that, so we don't really understand how fast it will be to get hired here. And this can help to address bottlenecks, for instance, understanding where the problem is from. Is it from the companies, or is it from the immigration, or is it from somewhere else? So rounds of interviews, most of them are trying to bring it a bit shorter. I heard some from the interviews I had with some companies, they have four rounds of interviews. I don't know why, but yeah, so this is one of them. Sorry. So for regional developers, this one focuses mostly on attracting foreign talents. Visas is one of them. And visas is I think it's one of the most trending topic in terms of talent acquisition, because some countries have their own policies and some policies don't really blend in with the EU policies. So it's kind of hard to like recruit people from abroad. So most companies tend to source talents locally because it's easier, which it breeds biasness in terms of acquisition. Tax incentive, can be also like a way to tell people, hey, we have low taxes, come to us, or put something like an incentive to make people come to work in the space. Nomad visas, remote work visas, I have practical examples in my next slide, which some companies have, not some companies, but some countries have applied in terms of easing the bureaucracy in terms of hiring employees. And I'll just give an example. TechPass, Singapore, they have this work permits where you can just come in and then you work for like 2 years, but you have to be like a top specialist. You have to have something to prove your background. You have to be, in the space. They don't just pick some random guy and then just take them in. So you have to have like the qualifications, you have to match the criteria, and then you get issued this TechPass visa. So they have other countries who have, but it's mostly the same, but different names. So some have like 3 months, some have like 4 months. So it's easier to like get the person into the country or start working depending on the timeline you scheduled for the person to start. And most of these have the same, like I said before, but different names. Other ones are the ATS, where you have like a tracking system that can help you monitor the candidates' movement in the pipeline. So there's a lot of examples that I actually listed here, but I didn't put all of them here because I wasn't sure how long I will be making the presentation. So I just put like the most recurring ones inside. LinkedIn as well. Of course, AI. I mean, AI rules everything. So they have this feature where they have to use AI to like screen candidates and make it more easier for you to like know if this candidate is the perfect fit for you. So my conclusions: hiring speed in general, it revolves around talent acquisition. So it's for you to know how fast you have to go in the pipeline, you have to understand the recruitment process, which I actually explained in one of the first slides. Practices from other people from countries, it's more, it helps to show the potential of bringing the value proposition of this hiring speed in terms of recruiting candidates. And challenges, it's like I said before, it varies with countries and technologies is evolving, and there are a lot of things that are mitigating the way it used to be, and we have to like adapt, and we have to also measure like the way we have progressed with time. So hiring speed will help to address that issue. I also, this networking and recruitment events, I've attended a lot of them here. I've attended so many conferences here. So I would say Ülemiste City is doing a great job at it. But yeah. So recommendations, monitor and measure the talent activities such as hiring. We have to know how fast we are hiring, how fast people are moving in the pipeline. Is it something that we are going forward in? Is it something we are going backwards in? We have to understand this and put it to the outside world that, hey, what can you benefit from coming to Estonia or coming to Ülemiste City? They have fast hiring. They hire you quickly. But you have to be good. You can't just be any guy. So create a centralized database, which I actually explained before, where you have to select the most candidates that matches your hire. I know LinkedIn is doing a good job at it, but I think it's LinkedIn is a bit bloated right now, so it's really hard to like know what is going on in LinkedIn. Work permits, having like I also showed some practical examples of how people try to release these trains on acquiring foreign talents, and I think work permits like given like a year or two is actually not bad as long as they know what they're doing. So most of this supports talent attraction, such as networking, collaborating with the government to restrict the labor laws required to get hired in Estonia in general, not just for the, like, non-EU, but for like EU as well, and AI to help streamline the process to make it faster. So, thank you.
You see, I have been conducting several years for minor students such course, International Organization Development Management. What I have discovered in this course that many foreign students are actually working, but they are working as Bolt couriers or in such job. And I have tried to get them to interview Ülemiste City enterprise managers to make some success cases in order to get them employed already during the studies. But some students have been quite hesitant to do such interviews. So now that's the background of my question. So my question is how the study process in minor could support especially foreign students to find, if they are really talents, to find their jobs in Ülemiste City during the studies.
Okay, thank you for the question. So I think minor, I'll just start with minor. They have been creating conferences for students all this while I've been studying. I'm a student here, so I've been to a lot of them. It's more of the motivation from the students as well. Like, I don't think there's enough motivation, to drive the students to actually come and engage in like you said, meetups and stuff. But I believe if there was the right motivation, or if there were things that you can put in place for them, not just telling them to come to conferences, please come to conferences. Like, for instance, I'll give an example of my survey. I can to go everywhere and tell people, please do my survey, do my survey, do my survey. It will help you as well. It will help you as well. They wouldn't mind, because deep down, if you don't see the value of it at that moment. So I think you have to put like the right motivation. You have to understand the people. Or
why this motivation gap? Because really, I understood they work here, but they don't work in such a job what is corresponding to master studies level. And actually, I gave them choice. They had to do a case study, but they could do it using online sources, combining different sources about some international company. But the other option is to visit a potential employer, and everybody is happy if somebody interviews yourself about how you have been successful. That's a good way to sell your talent. But why very few accepted this offer?
Like I said, it's the environment as well. The environment is not somewhere that you put yourself in the midst of situations. It's something that you have to understand too as well when you're talking about them going out to meet the companies. Because me myself, I actually had to do some interviews with some companies. I reached out and I didn't get. Sometimes I got not the best of response, but at the same time I got good responses. So it's more like you have to understand that people come from different backgrounds, and if they come to a certain environment and they see how the environment is, they tend to try to blend in, So it's, because for me, I really, whenever I go to anywhere, I try as much as possible to try to involve in the society. I take language courses, I play football, sorry to say, but I play football. I try to plan, most of my teammates are Estonians, even though I don't speak Estonian, but they actually like me. It's the truth. So it depends on you. Also, like I said, motivation, and also the motivation has to come from inside and outside. So it's a two-way process.
Laura?
Yes, maybe to answer you as well. So my experience working with a lot of foreigners and also supporting many of them in their career journey is that there's one thing, the foreigner's motivation, but also the employees' readiness and their fears. So it can be a bigger barrier for foreign students to actually be kind of invited to the interview. But now this brings me to a question that I have for you, George. In your study, have you, or do you also intend to kind of compare the different ways of hiring? So it is estimated, I'm not a recruiter, but I have heard this opinion from recruiters that more than half of jobs in Estonia are actually not filled through public applications, but because Estonia is so small and everyone knows everyone in the industry, then a lot of the jobs are actually filled through looking for employees, through your own employees, through your connections. It's not a question that I hire my relative or my friend, so it's not so much of a question of nepotism, but it's more of the fact that we already know everyone in our industry. So do you also, or have you heard about the speed difference, the difference in hiring speed when we hire, on CV Keskus, work in Estonia, LinkedIn, versus I use the connections in the organization and the connections of the employees when I hire. So have you looked at that question as well?
Yeah, of course. Actually, I've actually put that into consideration when I was doing my research. When you say from people you know, it's kind of hard to find people who know people who you know. So most of them, if you can interact with them, or if you try to engage in a conversation, trying to understand how they get hired, there's some information they try to leave out. So it's really hard for you to gauge yourself inside that space. But when you look at things like LinkedIn, or which is out there, or CV Keskus, or all the websites that you can get hired from, it's easier to see the information and get to it. So it's more of how am I going to get to those people who move around within that circle. I think that's where the problem is. But to answer your question, it's something that I have to look into as well.